Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just want to.
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just want to.
National Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
Are you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
Hold on a sec. I just want
National
to.
Pornographic says it.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15 what?
The whales have a 15-foot penis. I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
I'm sorry, Ken. You cut out there. They have a 15
Are
what?
you a pervert or something? Okay. The whales have a 15-foot penis.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? So tonight we have Frank Turek, who's going to put up an argument against the idea that Jesus was copied from previous myths. And I'm kind of put in the awkward position of halfway agreeing with him and halfway disagreeing with him. So if you want to find out what portions of Frank Turek's arguments here that I agree with, then please stay tuned. All right, so before we get into tonight's video, which we're going to do kind of a truncated stream, I guess, because I don't have the Today I Learns and everything like that set up. I'm really sorry about that. We had some things go on today that prevented us from kind of getting here and doing the stream when we wanted to, and then I didn't have everything set up. So we're going to do the response portion of the video, but that's pretty much what we're going to do tonight. But I got a glowing recommendation from somebody that you just really wouldn't expect to give me a recommendation. And I want to revel in this, and I'm thinking about making a special stamp or maybe emoji or something like that, that if we get enough members, I can add that emoji. We're going to hear from somebody first with a glowing recommendation. First up, we have Uhan Roderick, who says, I may end up missing the stream. Hopefully I'll make it home to catch at least some of it. Hashtag Brocephus 2020. Wash your damn hands and love you guys. Thank you, Uhan. I appreciate you being here, man. And then Tommy Thomas says, hey, heathens. Hey there, Tommy. How you doing? So we're going to go right into this. And as you guys know, recently I talked to Ray Comfort. And I have that full conversation on my channel, minus the audio issue part. So I have that whole conversation there if you want to go and check it out. But apparently, I'm going to be featured on a video that's premiering on AIG's like pay-to-view like streaming service, kind of like Netflix, but for creationists. And so they put out a 1-minute like little teaser video of me on it. And I have to say the recommendation from Ray Comfort is just astounding. Let me get all this shit turned on and stuff. Okay.
Recently, I had the honor of speaking with two atheists. Justin was amazing. He was the most polite and likable atheist I've ever met. And John, well, how can I put it? He produced the most morally depraved YouTube video I've ever seen. I couldn't describe how sickeningly and horribly blasphemous it was.
Guys, I made Ray Comfort sick to his stomach. Apparently, I am the most morally depraved and blasphemous atheist YouTuber. And I have to say, I mean, this is definitely going up there. Like, I am going to put this on all of my channel art everywhere on Twitter. Most morally depraved and blasphemous YouTuber. And to be quite honest, I really don't know which particular video he thinks is blasphemous, morally depraved, or made him sick to his stomach. So I'm quite interested to see what videos he's managed to cobble together to make me look about the worst that I could possibly look. I wonder if Ray got that time that I sucked Satan's dick. I wonder if he did that. Or maybe it's the times where I talk about taking a bunch of spiky Satan dick up the ass. Or the pineapple up the ass bit, which is actually a reference to Little Nicky. Let's see. Josiah Hansen says, GE, please give a 15-foot peen out to my suspended tweet. Twitter. Daniel M says, wait a minute. I thought he cared for you and worried for your soul. I thought he did too. He said he loved me. He even ends up saying that he loves me here. Hold on, listen.
However, both of these men were kind enough to take up my invitation to chat about the things of God via the internet.
Okay, maybe he doesn't say that he loves me here, but I like how I'm morally depraved, but then I'm kind enough to give him my time. So it's a real roller coaster. But apparently this is a Living Waters documentary that's premiering on AIG's thing. So I don't suggest buying a subscription and going and watching it just for that. I'm sure it'll appear on one of their YouTube channels here soon enough. But I just think that it's funny that apparently some of my content has made Ray sick to his stomach. Maybe that should be, it made me sick. Like, that should be the review from Ray Comfort. Tommy Thomas says that I should make a shirt. Let's see. Quick shirt ideas for this. I guess it could be morally depraved and blasphemous. Yep. That would be it. Maybe I could morally depraved, blasphemous, MDB, and then an explanation underneath or something. I don't know. Maybe I could get like a picture of myself looking all like depraved and like, and then like have that as like a caricature on the shirt and be like morally depraved. BigZebra.com says GE's videos are so good that they may Ray Comfort puke. I mean, this right here is a milestone for me in my channel and everything that I've done, like as far as Godless Engineer goes. Like this right here is pretty awesome. Anyways, it's premiering next Friday. So what I'm really interested in is seeing how he deceptively edits the interview. And that's, I know some people were really angry with me about how the interview went and the fact that I even did the interview, but I've always been curious to have like a comparison of an uncut footage of an interview that Ray Comfort does and then compare it to how he edits it together and presents it to his crowd. I feel like he's going to be pretty deceptive, especially with the fact that apparently I made him throw up or made him sick to his stomach. But I think that it would be really interesting to see the differences between the actual conversation that happened and what he presents and what he tells his audience. So I'm very interested to see it. They have like a free, like a free promo trial thing that you can do. And so I think that what I'm going to do is like next Thursday, I'm going to sign up for the free trial and then I'm just going to fuck off after my thing premieres. So anyways, I do one thing that I like is how in the thing he's like, Justin was a really good, nice Easy to talk to, atheist. But then there's John.
You guys were totally civil with each other.
I know.
You were definitely civil with him.
I was very civil. Like there were so many people in the comment section that was like, GE, I do not know how in the fuck you talked to Ray Comfort and you didn't punch the screen. Like, I don't know how you talked to him, but you did. But anyways, so we're going to be checking that out. I'll probably do some kind of like summary video. I won't be able to like record it and put it up like on my channel or anything like that, because that's obviously going to violate some copyright stuff. So what I'll do is I'll just do sort of like a summary kind of video where I explain it. Maybe I can show some still footage, of it or whatnot. But anyways, that's going to be going on next Friday. So probably be expecting that sometime the week after, seeing the summary kind of video and the fallout from it. So we'll see. I don't know. But anyways, we got that coming up. But now for the video tonight, we've got Frank Turek. It's one of his question and answer videos where he is going to be talking about whether or not Jesus was copied from previous ancient myths. And this particular topic is a bit nuanced, where I agree with portions of what Frank Turek is saying, but there are other portions that are highly ridiculous. Like the title of this stream is, "Did Mithraism steal from Christianity?" The answer is no, it did not. Mithraism didn't steal from Christianity, but more importantly, Christianity didn't steal anything from Mithraism. And so we're going to get into the nuances of that in this stream. So we're going to start off, we're going to hear the person's question, and we're just going to go from there.
There's been many religions before Christianity.
Yes.
And they all had the same story as Jesus. There was the son of God, his name was Kronos, it started with K. Yeah, and it was way before Jesus was born.
Okay.
And he died 3 days later, resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
And he was born on December 25th. And I was just telling my friend, I was like, okay, what's your point? And he was like, bro, like all this stuff happened way before Jesus. So yeah.
Okay, so I want to stop there because this is a meme that has gone around for a long time. And it's really not a meme that's put out there by mythicists, at least not mythicists that I see. I see it more by people that are highly influenced by Zeitgeist, the movie, where they had a bunch of bad information in it. Daniel M says, "Say hi to David and eat your food, fool." But so this meme has gone around for a long time about how like Jesus is copied from like Osiris, Mithras, and Dionysus, and all of these other religions that existed prior to Christianity or alongside Christianity. And this whole idea is not supported by any information or any evidence that we actually have. This idea is brought forth in Zeitgeist with no supporting evidence that they provide. Michelle Foster says that dude's necklace though, Wakanda forever. So. Given that there's no information to support these particular characteristics, like take, for example, the December 25th birth date, right? The birth of Jesus actually didn't become important to it until well after like the 2nd or 3rd century. They didn't celebrate it. And in fact, what they celebrated was called the Epiphany. And that happened somewhere around January 6th. That's when Jesus was supposedly, power slammed into the Jordan River by John the Baptist, and then he rose up and he's adopted by God via the descending, dove. The dove is often portrayed as sort of like a angel or messenger of God. In this case, it would have been the Savior or Messiah spirit or angel that descended from heaven and inhabited the body of Jesus. This is commonly associated with Docetism. This adoptionist view of Jesus and his divine sonhood or his divineness is actually the earliest form of Christianity that we know to exist. So, divinity, divineness. So what you have is not so much a focus on when he was born or the circumstances around his birth. Those don't become important until later. So even bringing up like when some other deity was supposedly born doesn't really matter when you're talking about the origins of Christianity, right? So my suggestion is to not parrot these really bad arguments. I feel like we should have evidence for the claims that we make, and if you don't have evidence for a certain claim, then you probably shouldn't be asserting it, because eventually you're going to get asked, well, how do you know that? You know, where's your what information do you have that suggests this particular claim? And so the fact that there is no supporting information for this, you might not want to say these things because they're just wrong. So I agree. I'm going to end up agreeing here in a minute with Frank Turek about how these particular attributes that are commonly associated with like Jesus compared to other religious figures, other savior deities and other religions, they're not true, and you shouldn't be using that in any kind of conversation.
First of all, let me say this. When somebody says something, it's not your job to refute what they say. It's their job to support what they say.
I just said that I was going to have to agree with him, but this very first thing, I'm going to have to disagree with him, because while it is important to ask people for supporting information for what they have, I think it's also incumbent upon us to be able to explain why they are wrong about certain things. So like, for instance, with the crypt born on December 25th thing, you can easily bring up information that contradicts the idea that these other religions these other religions were used to generate Jesus using the December 25th date, right? Because it wasn't important to the original version of Christianity. It didn't come into existence until much later, and all these other supporting facts. So it's important to ask somebody to support their points that they're making, but you can also definitely show how this doesn't make sense because of these particular things. So you're going to need better evidence to overcome all of these things that say you're wrong, right?
So when he says all this stuff is true about Mithras, first question you want to ask is, what do you mean by that? Okay? Because you need clarification.
Right.
The second question is, how did you come to that conclusion? In other words, what evidence do you have for this being true? Because searching the internet doesn't necessarily give you the right evidence. There's a lot of misinformation out there, okay?
Right.
And then the third question is, have you ever considered, and then you provide some evidence back to that person after they try to affirm their own view?
Generally, I would say that this is a good way to go about having a conversation. I don't really have any genuine disagreement with Frank Turek here. I do think that you need to have supporting evidence for the things that you say, and having somebody explain how they know something is actually like a street epistemological thing that you can do. Exploring why someone thinks a certain way can help shed light on certain attributes of what they think and believe. So I think that all those are very important. I think that it's a little manipulative to be like, have you ever considered this particular alternative thing, right? I think that it's still important to bring up like, well, there are these particular points of fact cause problems with the things that you're saying. So I get that he wants you to present some kind of like counter situation that you would then need to show how that doesn't actually explain anything about whatever conversation you're having. I think that you can, you already have a lot on your plate before that point.
And what I would say to somebody who said that Mithras was someone who predated Jesus, and therefore you're saying that what, Jesus borrowed, the New Testament writers borrowed from it, and they invented it? Here's the truth about Mithras. Number one, it's too late to influence Christianity because it's after Christianity. It's not before. If anybody took anything from anybody, it was Mithras taking it from Christianity, not the other way around.
Okay, so this is the title, right? Of the whole Mithras. Did Mithras steal from Christianity? So Mithras did not originate in the 2nd century. Mithras, most likely, the Mithraism, the Hellenized version of Persian religions that also included Mithras, occurred about the same time as Christianity did. And this is where the nuance gets in, because Mithras was definitely not, like, Christianity is not Mithras 2.0 or Osiris 2.0, or, Christianity didn't steal ideas from these other, like, pagan mystery cults, because Christianity itself is a mystery cult. So basically what happened was that these mystery cults, like 100 years or more prior to the development of Christianity, they started popping up. And what a mystery cult is it's basically a Hellenized version of a previous cult that existed. Like, for instance, with Mithras, that's a Persian and Greek Hellenized cult. And then you have Isis and Osiris that is Egyptian and Hellenistic syncretization. And then you got Christianity, which is just Judaism and Hellenistic ideas syncretized together. And that's actually one of the things that denotes a mystery religion. And so mystery religion would be any Hellenistic cult in which the individual salvation was procured by a ritual initiation into a set of mysteries, the knowledge of which and participation in were key to securing a blessed eternal life. Christianity is very much a mystery religion, and this is well known in the scholarship. For one thing, you've got Paul directly calling the information contained within Christianity mysteries. If you look at 1 Corinthians 4:1, you have, "This then is how you ought to regard us, as servants of Christ and as those entrusted with the mysteries of God, the mysteries God has revealed." 1 Corinthians 13:2 has, "If I have a gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing." So he says mysteries, or refers to the mysteries of Christianity a lot in it. Generally, these mystery cults will have a central savior deity that is also the son and daughter of God. The savior in all of these mystery cults undergoes some kind of suffering, either a passion or some kind of hard labor, in order to defeat death and procure salvation for all of those that join the cult. To put this more specifically, the 4 universal things that describe a mystery religion is syncretism. That would be the combining of Hellenistic ideas with some cultural religion or cult. And then you've got monotheism. This would be the transfer from polytheism to a single ruling deity over other divine figures. And this is just an easy transition from polytheism, which this version of it, its transition into monotheism is called henotheism, where you have one supreme God amongst other gods or other divine figures. And then you have individualism. It's a shift from a communal aspect. Like, for instance, in Christianity, you have the prophecies of the Old Testament, which are talking about the salvation and restoration of Israel as a whole. But then, due to the syncretization with Hellenism, that occurred prior to the first century and in the first century, what you had is a shift to individualism. So it went from Israel being the one that's being saved to the individual person that's being saved. And then another aspect of mystery cults is cosmopolitanism. This is the appeal to a wider range of people that transcends borders, transcends tribes, cultures, and all of that. So these four central aspects are what describe a mystery cult, and Christianity hits every single one of them. And just to give you a little bit of background on it, is that so, like, for instance, with Isis and Osiris, you were initiated into the cult with a sort of voluntary death, symbolic voluntary death, where you were then reborn. And then after you were baptized, your initiation day became your new birthday, and the priest that baptized you became your symbolic father. And then consummate the initiation, you would have a sacred meal on the third day, and the meal symbolically united the individual with their savior deity. And Mithras also had similar aspects to it. Mithraism had similar aspects. They had a baptism. They had sacred meals that would, consummate the initiation into the cult. So all of this is to point to the fact that Christianity did not get its information from surrounding or other pagan religions or pagan cults, right? What Christianity developed out of was Judaism being syncretized or combined with Hellenism to produce a new idea called the Christian mystery religion. And so they didn't really steal from these other pagan religions. These were just trends that were happening in the religious communities at the time. When these communities were syncretizing their previous religious ideas with Hellenistic ideas, they all ended up with basically the same skeletal structure of a religion, being a mystery religion. So that's the connection between Christianity and Mithraism, or the Isis and Osiris cult, or any of the other mystery religions that we know of in the past, which admittedly we don't know a lot about them because Christians chose not to preserve those particular documents. Like, for instance, with let me find his name real quick. With Hippolytus's refutation of all heresies, at the end of book 1, he actually says that he's going to expose all of the hidden mysteries from these mystery cults. But book 2 and 3 are mysteriously gone from the entire works of Hippolytus. We don't have those anymore, and it's just those 2 books. They didn't preserve those. Because I don't know why. I can only I can only speculate as to why they wouldn't have wanted to preserve them. But apparently, those particular books contained all of the secrets of the mystery cults that were there. So you also have Paul talking about, God being the supreme God over all other gods and everything like that. Like, there's a lot of points in Paul where he shows how Christianity is a mystery religion. So mystery religion is how Mithraism and Christianity are connected. It's not that Christianity stole from any one religion. It just was another mystery religion that existed at the time. Oh, also, Mithraism actually developed right around the same time as Christianity would have, and so they are both products of this trend to syncretize past religions with Hellenistic ideas. So it's no wonder that they look so similar that people are like, hey, you stole that from that one. Because Mithraism was already Mithras was already established in Persian religions, right? It's just the Mithraism that we know of that is similar to Christianity Christianity didn't come into existence until about the same time as Christianity did. So there's no way that Christianity stole from Mithraism, and there's no way that Mithraism stole from Christianity, because they both were just syncretizing their past ideas, Judaism and Persian religions, with Hellenistic ideas. That was a really long explanation, huh?
Secondly, he was born out of a rock, not a virgin. Thirdly, he was said to be a god, not a teacher. He didn't have 12 disciples. Number 4, he didn't sacrifice himself. He sacrificed a bull. And finally, we don't know anything about his death. There was no resurrection.
Now, so the born out of a rock thing and saying that he was a virgin, yeah, I would not advise anybody to suggest that Mithraism or Mithras was born of a virgin because he sprang out of a rock. That's really taking the idea of virgin like too loosely, and so at that point you would just call anything a virgin birth, but as long as there was no sex involved, right? So the idea of like sex being taken out of it, that is kind of a common thing, I guess, but I really wouldn't bring up the whole virgin deal. He said he was said to be a god, not a teacher. But he didn't have 12 disciples. I wouldn't say that Mithras had 12 disciples or any of that. Now, it is true that Mithras didn't have like a death or a resurrection, but what Mithras did do is he had a suffering or a great labor in which he conquered death. In effect, it's the exact same thing that happens in Christianity. But the thing is that Jesus actually dies and then overcomes death by his resurrection. With Mithras, he doesn't die, but he still defeats death in a way, and he provides eternal salvation. You notice how, I don't know if Frank ever touched on this at all in his presentation, which obviously he picked out a very specific, mystery cult in which to compare Jesus to, because, I mean, if he compared it to like the Isis and Osiris cult, it wouldn't look too favorable. But, as far as Mithras and the dying and resurrection thing, he still conquered death in some way in order to give his followers eternal life. So while the specifics are different and they're very few in comparison to Mithras, there's still that mystery cult connection between the two figures. Mithras and Jesus are both savior deities of a mystery cult. So that's how they're connected. And it's totally legit for you to compare the two because they were both born out of this trend to create these mystery cults out of previous religious ideas and then syncretize them with Hellenistic ideas. So it's still very much a good comparison to make. You just have to be very delicate with how you compare them and what particular points you bring up. Oh crap, I missed the super chat. Quentin missed a prime opportunity to say God evidence. Yeah, God evidence. I wish I had that shirt on, but I chose my heathen shirt for tonight.
So just because some website somewhere says all this stuff doesn't mean it's true.
I mean, I would agree. You should definitely ask people, you got evidence for whatever you're saying? And I mean, I have been in so many conversations with theists because he acts like, oh, these internet atheists, they just tell you to Google it and, it's an internet source. All of my information comes from peer-reviewed scholarly, sources, not just one source either, but multiple different sources that this is pulled from. But you definitely need to ask people, where's your evidence, or do you got evidence, right, to support the things that you're saying? You need to be asking that question, what's your evidence, and examining what evidence do they have, because most likely, as far as the conversations that I've had, they usually just appeal to authorities like Frank Turek or other people like that. They'll just appeal like, oh, well, Gary Habermas says that all historians believe that Jesus existed or claim that Jesus existed. It's like, oh, okay, I don't give a shit what what your particular list of historians says, which he's never published that list, by the way. So it's a little dubious in general.
But Egypt is older than the hieroglyphics in. Oh, my bad. The hieroglyphics in Egypt is older.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's people that predated Jesus. We know that there were religions prior to Jesus. But even if there were similarities, that doesn't mean that one copied from another. In fact, let me ask you guys this.
Before he gets to whatever question he's going to ask, I do agree. Just because these like Mithraism and Christianity or the Isis and Osiris cult resemble each other does not necessarily mean that they are copied off each other. Like, just for instance, think about any summer blockbuster that you can think of. They normally come in pairs of twos, right? The ones that I can think of right off the top of my head is like Armageddon and Deep Impact. We've always had this, worry of an asteroid pummeling the Earth and killing us, right? And I want to say that at the time that those movies came out, like months and months prior to that, you had you had scientific studies that were talking about asteroids impacting the Earth and all this other stuff. Like, that's been a topic for a while. And so the fact that these two movies separately came out with no influence from on each other is a similar example to how Christianity arose. I don't think that Christianity copied their information from these other religions. I think that they were just part of the same trend that eventually resulted in these religions resembling each other because they incorporated similar aspects of it because they were both mystery religions. Daniel M., I wouldn't say so much copied as borrowed. Would you agree? I don't know. I really wouldn't even say borrowed. I don't think that they were borrowed because the method, like, unless you mean that the Jews were borrowing the concepts that we outlined: individualism, monotheism, cosmopolitanism, and syncretism, unless you were talking about them just following along in the trends and borrowing from the general trends of the time of syncretizing their ideas with Hellenistic ideas and doing all of the other things, then I guess so. But I don't think like there's any one piece of information that's borrowed from another religion. I just think that it was a trend at the time that resulted in Christianity developing in such a way that it was a mystery religion, because that's what they were creating, was a mystery religion. It was a fad at the time.
Tell me what ship this was. There was a ship that went on its maiden voyage from Europe that came across the Atlantic. It didn't have enough lifeboats on it. It happened about a century ago. It hit an iceberg.
Titanic.
It sank, and a lot of people died. That ship was false. It's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a ship called The Futility, which was a novel written in 1898 with the exact same, or many of the same details that occurred to the Titanic 14 years later.
Well, yeah, so this is an interesting coincidence that happened. There was a narrative written that pretty much mirrors, what happened with the Titanic. But, a disaster happening at sea from a luxury cruise liner or whatever the Titanic was, hitting an iceberg, like, that's really not all that fantastic, right? It doesn't really take a genius to be like, oh, I wonder if one of those motherfuckers ever hit an iceberg. What the fuck would happen then? Oh, shit, what if they didn't have enough lifeboats on that motherfucker? Like, it doesn't really take a lot of... it doesn't take very many steps to get there, is what I'm saying. So I do like the kind of hypocrisy of this particular situation, because, like, for instance, the way that we know that Mark was written after 70 AD is the fact that it mentions the destruction of the Jewish temple, right? And so it's not like it's easy to see these things coming from a mile off, like the destruction of the Jewish temple, or the Titanic hitting an iceberg, or not the Titanic specifically, but just, you know, a luxury liner hitting an iceberg, not having enough lifeboats, right? So that's one way that we know that Mark was written after 70 AD, or right around 70 AD. And Frank Turek would completely deny the idea that Mark was written first. What, I'm not exactly sure. I guess I haven't really looked into whether or not he thinks Mark was written first, but a lot of apologist Christians out there will tell you that Mark was not written first, that Mark was definitely written closer to when Paul was writing, and it was actually written by the eyewitness named Mark, right? So it doesn't take a lot of steps in order to get to, oh, the Jewish temple is going to be destroyed, right? That's not really a clairvoyant prophecy or something like that. That's just reading the political atmosphere and making a guess about it. If it had never happened, then they would find some other way in order to talk about how the destruction of the temple is coming. Like, they would find a way around it. But it's just, what I'm saying is, it's not hard to read the room and make a prediction that will most likely end up being true.
Now, no one's going to say, because the futility, a fictional novel, was written 14 years before the Titanic, that all news reports of the Titanic must be false. They must be borrowed from this novel, right? So just because there's similarities, if there are, doesn't mean that one is borrowed from another.
Well, yeah, just to reiterate, I think that they were both they were both independent, right? They just used the same methods in order to generate their mystery cult, and so that's why they seem similar.
Make sense?
Gotcha.
All right, thanks, George. And by the way, this is good. No, I got you. I'm done. I'm good. I'm just going to mention one other thing.
I'm fucking done with you. Could you please sit your ass down and let the next motherfucker get up here to ask me a question? But I've got one more thing to say and give y'all some kind of information here.
And that is, these questions are very important. What do you mean by that? How'd you come to that conclusion? Have you ever considered? They're all from Greg Koukos' book, Tactics. If you haven't read that book, you need to read it. They're also in our app, the Cross-Examined app. 2 words in the App Store.
Please don't go and download his app. I mean, I don't know exactly what's in it. If you're curious, I guess you could, but I'm guessing that it's just an apologetics wasteland. Jukane asks, why are you comparing a fictional event to a real one? Are you talking about me or Frank? Yeah, I'm not sure who you're talking about. Turd dick is a weasel.
So you should always ask those questions. What do you mean by that? How'd you come to that conclusion? Have you ever considered? Now, ladies and gentlemen, these questions you can use for anything, not just questions about Christianity or anything else. Like, parents, if your son calls you one night and says, Dad, I'm not going to be home by 11 like you wanted me to, don't panic. First question, what do you mean by that? Second question, how'd you come to that conclusion? Third question, have you ever considered if you're not home by 11, you're grounded for 2 weeks? Be right home, Dad. Right? By the way, husbands, never, ever, ever use these questions on your wives.
Right.
Because if she calls you an idiot, don't say, what do you mean by that? Or, how did you come to that conclusion? She's going to have a list 25 years long, and you are toast. All right? Thank you, George. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what the point in all that was. I do think that it's important to ask for evidence. How do you know things? But I mean, those are just good conversational sort of things to do. I mean, asking for those things. So I would suggest anybody, looking to get into better conversations to watch like Anthony Magnabosco. He does some great conversations. Shannon Q If you guys don't know about Shannon Q's channel, you just type it into the search bar, Shannon Q. She has great conversations with people that are sometimes very abhorrent, but are just they're great conversations and a great way to have good, productive conversations. So I would suggest all of those, both of those channels, if you're looking to get more into better conversations. Yeah, so Chrismer mentioned, but there is an app you should download, and that's the Crestus app. If you guys haven't heard, I do have an app in the App Store that I'm continuously working on and updating. I actually have an update ready to go right now where I actually include a debunk of a popular mythicist idea that doesn't have the evidence behind it to suggest that it is a good hypothesis. So that update is coming out here soon. I've got the Android version ready to go, and I got to get it pushed through all the iOS hoops in order to get that published. But that's coming out soon. So definitely go check out Crestus. If you already have the Crestus app, leave me a good review, especially on iOS. They fucking hate the app over on the iOS store. It's got horrible reviews on it. But that is going to be it for Frank's video. We do have the Skeptic Mafia comments that are going to be coming up. So the Skeptic Mafia members, they probably have some good things to say. They normally like to add a lot of things that I don't think about during the live stream. So stick around for that. If you're leaving out, definitely go check out Crestus. There's a link in the description right now to crest.us if you want to go and check out what I've got going on there. We're going to be having a new version of it sometime that will allow you to search it and all this other stuff. So if you get it now, you'll be able to get that particular update as well. So definitely go check that out. And yeah, I think that's it for the stream tonight. So sorry for the truncated stream, but I will see you guys on Monday when I'm going to be covering Cameron from Capturing Christianity and his debunking of moral subjectivism. Well, moral subjectivism. You'll find out why I put that in air quotes on Monday. So check us out then. I guess I'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. Unless you're sticking around for the Skeptic Mafia comments, because that's what we're going into next. I always love that transition. But wait, don't go. We got Skeptic Mafia comments. All right. So I do believe that I have all the comments for today. I don't think that anybody got held up by spam filters, but I'm going to just double check that real quick. Likely spam. These fucks always wanting to be my friend. I don't want to be your friend, no name on YouTube. No, I mean, like, they literally don't have a name. Like, it's just, like, I think they got banned from YouTube or something like that. They just, not that they're not important enough, just that they don't have a name. That sounded really presumptuous of me. I'm so sorry. Okay, so first up we got Sean J, who is a pure free thinker, by the way, or at least he's got the Thinker badge, which is a 1-year badge for supporting the channel here. Thank you, Sean, for all of your support, man. I appreciate it. I'll keep this short this week. Nothing he said even remotely came close to debunking the argument that Jesus was a fictional character based on myths that predate him. Trying to portray the events of Jesus as just as likely as an ocean liner's story is laughable at best. Yet there are many that still see that and reconfirm their beliefs instead of going out and doing the research. I don't know if you know this, Sean, but the Mark narrative is actually based on Jesus ben Ananias. He lived and died just before the fall of the Jewish temple, and many elements of his whole story match up with Jesus' story. In fact, 23 points of it actually match up with Jesus' story. So interesting there. I do think that a lot of the information that we have about Jesus, right, is definitely borrowed or copied from existing information. I just would be very sure about the comparisons to other mystery religions that you make. We get Jane Pusecker, who says, I would like to start by saying this guy seems to be smart. He does a decent job trying to present his argument to Frank. I admit in my own quest of understanding other pre-Christian beliefs, I have ran into a brick wall when it comes to finding out about some dying and rising God when it comes to comparing them to Jesus, especially information about Mithra. She seems to have existed in multiple ancient religions. Or Mira? I'm not exactly sure which one you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about Inanna. I know Inanna has a lot of roots in different religions. Anyways, however, one thing I have come away with, if Jesus the man did exist, then borrowed from different ancient mythology to make him into a god. Well, I would say that the ideas that eventually became incorporated into the Jesus idea, I think that all of those elements were part of a trend, and so it's not necessarily like intentionally borrowing from them. They just used the same methodology and ended up coming up with similar or the same ideas. Jucane 726. Now I get to join the set of people who were almost too pissed to finish a video. I still did, but wow, what a bunch of misinformation and misdirection. The only thing they were right about was Mithras, but that isn't our point. That one is about the savior aspects being copied, not the resurrection. Also, there's no evidence of a resurrection, not even in your Bible, at least not if you consider that all accounts of it are different, and the original version didn't witness the actual event, but had a revelation by Scripture. That's correct, Jucane. Paul only had revelation by Scripture or by hallucination, or however, to get his information. That's how Paul got his information. So very good, Jucane. Thank you so much. We got Jonathan Nickel, who says his comments about Mithras being dated to around 4 AD or CE, as I would prefer, but Christianity did not recognize this date until at least 2 centuries later, and that was in order to make their belief system fit the existing calendar of festivities, not because that date had any special significance to Christians at the time. Turning water into wine, Dionysus did first. On a side note, the wine I am drinking as I write this tastes a lot better than water. I should hope so, unless it's is it boxed wine? I've never had boxed wine, so I don't know. I would suspect that there are many more correlations between the Jesus story and earlier legends. In the end, though, it doesn't matter. Christians can't show that there is any truth to their story, so whether it was based on earlier myths or not is ultimately irrelevant. I would agree to the fact that as far as the truth of Christianity, this particular subject area doesn't really have a lot of significance, like the origins of Christianity and all that. This is definitely a niche topic. Mythicism and the history of Christianity, like and the origination of Christianity, is a very niche topic that I don't think that necessarily everybody is interested in, nor should they be. I got very interested in it, and that's why I'm very knowledgeable on the topic, is because I wanted to learn more about it, right? So I ultimately don't think that it's all that too relevant to the truth of Christianity, but if you're looking to know more about the origins of Christianity, it might be interesting to read people like Richard Purvo. He's got a commentary on Acts and the mysteries of Acts, where he lays out a lot of great information about Acts, how it was constructed, the sources that he possibly used. So that's a very good place to start out. Mark Goodacre, where he debunks the Q source, the argument against Q, or I can't remember. I've got it like right over there. I can't remember what the title is, but he's got a book on how Q most likely didn't exist. So he is very good. Quentin Van Boeven, he's got a thinker cap on too. Thank you so much for all your support there, Quentin. Oh shit, he got an app. Well, we got one too, made by our very own GE called Crestus. Check it out if you want some arguments against this type of bullshit. Now the app is $7, I think, but you know it goes towards the GE beer fund, so it's a good cause. Well, yeah, so I've got to pay partial royalties to Richard Carrier because I have exclusive rights to use all of his peer-reviewed information on it, from his books to his scholarly articles and everything like that. So I've got to pay some royalty fees towards Carrier, but yeah, definitely go check the app out if you want to know more about it. We've got information that's being updated all the time in it. Enough shilling for now. We're not saying that just because there are religions with similar stories to Christianity that predate it, that Christianity is untrue. We are just saying that it is far more likely that they borrowed a bit from those other stories. With his example of the ship in the book, I mean, how hard would it have been to imagine a boat with too few lifeboats hitting an iceberg? I'm sure it wasn't unheard of with Jesus. So to speak on that, you would definitely come up with these scenarios because that's part of risk management, right? You would want to think of possible risks and how likely they are to happen. So coming up with these ideas is actually a whole field of engineering. With Jesus, though, you've got something that is not mundane. It's fantastical. So we do look for a more mundane way to explain it. Now on to the real shilling. Have y'all heard of the Skeptic Mafia? Of course you have, but just in case you haven't, it's what GE calls his members. When you become part of it, you get sweet-ass emojis, a podcast every Tuesday, a monthly hangout. By the way, it is actually monthly now. I know, wow! And at the $5 tier, you get to preview and vote for the stream's video. Oh, and there is a special channel in the Discord for all of the levels, I believe. Oh, another cool benefit to joining is making GE say Star Trek is far superior to Star Wars. Or, excuse me... Or if you don't want to make him say that, you can make him say something like, I believe that Lua is far better than C#. I've actually never used Lua, but oh well, maybe I should check it out. I don't know. At my work right now, my actual job, we use .NET and C# to do all of our stuff, so I'm kind of tied to that. Now, I understand if you can't afford to support GE right now, some times are tough and strange, but right now times are tough and strange, but you know what you can do, right? You can hit that like button, that share button, and subscribe button. While you're down there, hit that little bell to be notified when GE posts new videos. Those all help GE too, and it's free. So an all-around win. I agree. Like, share, comment on this motherfucker. I think that I gave y'all some really good information and advice for your conversations. It felt a little dirty having to agree with Frank Turek on occasion, but I think all around this was a very knowledgeable stream that we presented. All right, next up is Trickster, who didn't get caught by the spam filter. Trickster, hey GE, if you're reading this, then I have succeeded in dotting all my T's and crossing all the I's and not accidentally putting a link in. So, hi GE, KC, and the Skeptic Mafia and friends in general. Frank Turek, what can I say? The man is a genius at twisting an argument with meaningless facts and shifting the burden of proof. You ask him to show you some evidence so we can make an informed decision and replies, sure, but give me some evidence for your side so I can simply disregard it for, reasons. I'll give him credit, at least he didn't start quoting from the Bible as fact. What a useless argument that is. I have grown to loathe that particular argument. Whenever somebody starts quoting scripture at me, I'm just like, I really don't fucking care what your holy book says. I just don't. Thank you so much, Trickster. I see you got the thinking cap on too, so I appreciate your support. Jonathan Hanachek with the thinker cap too. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I know. Then we got Vanta Blue, who's got a globe. Thank you so much for your continued support, Vanta. The joke at the end was real nice, and I have to admit he's a good orator. I do actually have to respect the guy, and he seems like someone it would be good but hard to debate. The thing that pops out at me the most about this clip is that it feels staged. A person from the crowd asks about Mithras, and he just happens to have slides ready about Mithras as the very next slide. That feels really suspicious. Keep the paid actors to the movies, please. Well, so actually the guy asking the question or talking about it, he was talking about a different mystery cult prior to that. And actually it was Frank Turek who brought up Mithras. So I do think that he was very prepared for it because he was giving a presentation and then taking Q&A afterwards, right? But I feel like he injected what he was already prepared for into the question so that he could present his information debunking the idea that Jesus copied from Mithras. See, then we got Michelle Foster. I'm going to start off by saying something real nice about the video. He got the burden of proof thing right, and his joke at the end did make me giggle. As for the rest of the video, well, we can go right ahead and throw it into the trash. Even in my 2-minute research on Mithras, there were a couple of different dates as to when it came about, so I can't really argue that. However, that still doesn't prove that Christianity didn't heavily copy from other religions. The story of Jesus alone follows the story arc of a hero's journey. Gets a call to adventure, refuses at first, goes through some transformations, gets tested, goes through an ordeal, death, resurrection, and returns with some sort of prize. That's just a shorthand version, but it's the same basic structure that just about every hero story goes through. Well, yeah, so that's where the rank Raglan hero list type, comes into play here. Jesus follows along that particular recipe pretty well, and it definitely like that particular trend of hero types was definitely popular at that point in time. So it's no wonder that Jesus was made into that kind of hero. Hercules, Gilgamesh, just to name two. Well, actually, yeah. So Hercules is a really good example of a previous demigod figure who was supposedly bringing salvation to people. He was a son of God too. So, I mean, he's a pretty good comparison to Jesus as well. Hell, Gilgamesh was even a real person whose life was turned into a myth. Anyway, I've gone on a tangent now and got a tad sidetracked. Update, I've had Starbucks twice this week and I am quite happy. She had her basic bitch coffee, huh? Know what else makes me quite happy? Being part of the Skeptic Mafia. The membership is tiered, which means you could be a member and it'll cost less than my venti matcha green tea latte with soy and light ice. Yes, you have to say that all in one breath. Oh, fuck. Okay, let me see if I can do it all in one breath. My venti matcha green tea latte with soy and light ice. There's a bunch of perks that I'm sure the other members will tell you about, and Star Wars is amazing. I will force choke you from my couch if you make GE say otherwise. So, yeah, the membership is tiered, which I have Shill as the lowest level, and that's pretty much where you get the chat badge and you get the emojis, and I think you probably get into the Discord. You don't get to vote on this week's video or anything like that. That's for the mafioso level, but, and then there are other levels that also have different perks. So if you want to join, please join. If not, that's cool too. Content's still free. There's only one thing that's behind a paywall, and that's the Skeptic Mafia podcast that we put on for specifically the Skeptic Mafia. Now we got Drew's book reviews. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings in 1954 with The Hobbit in 1937. It has long since been a benchmark for epic fantasy, and you would be hard-pressed to find fantasy today that it is not, at least in part, influenced by the ideas and mythology of Middle-earth. Tolkien epic and world itself was influenced by ancient mythology. For example, an elf, plural elves, is a type of human-like supernatural being in Germanic mythology and folklore. And Lord of the Rings itself was influenced by Norse mythology in many ways. That's interesting. I didn't know that. This does not make modern fantasy or even Lord of the Rings factual by any means. Religions, likewise, are influenced by their predecessors in a similar fashion. They may not be exact duplicates of a previous religion. Their commonalities speak to the influence of other popular mythology of the time and passed as a base for the belief structure and system of the religion in question. Very astute observation there, Drew. These similarities and differences do not prove they are correct, but rather demonstrate the influence that they have on each other and help to formulate the myths involved in the beliefs as they evolve naturally. Likewise, high and epic fantasy has evolved over the decades with many different writers. We can liken this to religious sects, with the Tolkien influence as has religion and Christianity from the pagan religious influence, which is interesting because the pagan influences came a little bit later than the origin of Christianity, because like the integration of the virgin birth, in Matthew and Luke, that is a pagan influence, but it was meant to appeal to the Gentiles who were already, accustomed to their gods fucking mortal women and having demigod children, right? And so that's how that came to be. They reinterpreted their prophecies in order to make it fit with their religion. It's just more syncretizing with Hellenistic ideas. It's basically, it kept syncretizing even later on in the religion as it developed over time. Anyway, heathens, see you all next time. Don't forget to keep on reading. Oh, and sub to GE and join. Hey, if you guys like reading books, Drew's Book Reviews is a really great place to go to for any book review that you might be interested in. I think he mainly does like sci-fi fantasy kind of books, but he's still got a lot of great content over there that you can go and check out. And then we got Chrismer and Dave. I may not be here for the entire video, but I'll try to make it best I can. NASA Black Site Area 69 is set to go live around 8:30 p.m. Central, so I won't miss the entire thing like last time this happened. Hey, that's an hour away from now. That's NASA Black Site Area 69. They do a really great show over there. I was on at one point, so go check them out. They do great stuff. We troll the flat earth. And then he's got, he's got some Gangnam style with that fucking face. Insert Star Trek is better than Star Wars meme here, as well as shilling. I think that Michelle might be force choking you from her couch right now. I'm just, that's what she said she was going to do. Let me double check all of the comments here to see to make sure that we got everybody. Yep, seems like we got everybody. All right. Well, heathens, that's going to be it for me tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me see. Yep, no new super chats. So if you guys want to ask me any questions real quick, I do have maybe a few minutes where I can answer any kind of questions. Let's see. Brian Stevens says Josephus proves Jesus is the Son of God. I don't know how he does that, Brian. I meant to say Mithra. Darn spell check. I hate spell check too. It fucks me over so much. Pervo. Damn, Michelle. I think my chat's still getting caught up, maybe? I don't know. It's flying by kind of fast.
Jane Pusicker asked, was Jesus Ben Damnius a real person?
Oh, Jesus Ben Damnius. Jesus Ben Damnius was a real person. He's attested to in Josephus, in that very interpolated section of Josephus. I think that Josephus originally meant that Jesus Ben Damnius was the brother of James, not that Jesus the Christ was. So, what's my badge, Godless Engineer? It's a little devil. You got a little devil. I can't remember how many months of membership that is. Everybody with a thinker cap on has been here for about a year.
Drew said he's got some good nonfiction as well.
Oh, Drew has some good nonfiction. Cool.
And we got a first-time live streamer, D. Ronowin.
D. Ronowin?
Yeah, he said they said love the Daily Bible podcast.
Oh, thank you, D. Ronowin? Ronilian. First, Ronalyn, whatever. Sorry, man. Thank you so much. I love that you love the Daily Bible podcast. I'm wondering if Ray Comfort took portions of our Daily Bible podcast and is calling that sickening and blasphemous.
Maybe. That may be true.
That might be true, because I do say some pretty bad things in that, and I can understand it if he gets sick over some of those things. But I mean, that's what's literally in the Bible, right, guys?
Muggles Cake Sniffer, what kind of tattoos do you have?
Oh, tattoos. Thank you for asking. I love showing off most of my tattoos. So I've got this one which actually comes through as translucent right now because of my green screen, but it's my GE symbol, and I've got like a little atom thing behind it. And then I've got a wolf here. Not wolf, fox. It's a fox for my son loves foxes, so I got a fox. And then, of course, I've got the Darwin's first drawing of evolution, his first inkling of it. And then I've got this, which, if you'll notice, is actually a Jesus fish, just like, well, I guess that's the Jesus fish, but I flipped it and I turned it into a DNA. It was originally a Jesus fish DNA, but I flipped it and I made it into a Jesus fish, an actual DNA double helix. And then I've got, I did this design myself, and then I've got a Mario, and then I've got a Death Shroom over here with my continuous glucose monitor. And, I've got Batman on this side and Joker on this side. I've got some on my back too, but that would require me to take off my shirt, which you guys don't want to see. What does the fox say?
Our little fox says yeet.
Yeah, our little fox says yeet all the time. All the fucking time. That or he talks shit to his video game characters. Sunian says, you got hella tats. Yeah, and I've got 3 more. Well, actually, 4 more on my back. So I've got 1 on my shoulder and then 3 on my back. Muggles Cake Sniffer has a sleeve. Theme is Florida. That sounds pretty cool right there. KC has 13. So, I didn't show you guys this one. This is one of my favorite ones. So, this is a amino acid chain that you can spell out the amino acids, or you can make the amino acids spell out something. And so it says, I am star stuff, is what it says. It confuses every fucking person around here locally because they're like, oh, cool, star stuff.
What does that mean?
I've got 3 more. GE points to his dick.
Drew said your blasphemous reading of the Bible is what makes it so entertaining. And,
Oh, yeah.
And me contrasting and correcting you makes it even more so.
Yeah, so Drew said that
There.
okay. Drew's gone, so I will see you later there, Drew. Drew said your blasphemous reading of the Bible is what makes it so entertaining, GE, and KC, your contrasting GE's corrections make it even more so. Well, that's the point of it. Like, the point of it is to make it interesting at first and then have the actual Bible study after that. But I'm wondering if I wonder if he's going to quote mine in one of those episodes.
I don't know. God, I hope
I bet you that's what made him puke.
Serious misrepresentation of what you do.
It would be, but I mean, you know, people love to misrepresent. They take the worst thing. Like Braxton Hunter and Jonathan Pritchett this past weekend, like Friday, they played a segment of one of my videos that was Brocephus talking, and you know, like that's not really indicative of my content. I think that's one aspect of it, but not to really shit talk Braxton or anything. I'm just saying, like, that's not exactly representative of the full spectrum of content that I provide.
They were using it to show how atheist YouTubers use mockery.
Yeah, they were trying to use it to show how YouTube atheists use mockery in order to do it. D. Ronillion, GE, it's all right. Everyone gets my name wrong. You nailed it. You nailed it like DBP intro, Ron. Lisa for Truth, Brocephus, Brocephus 2020. Jonathan Hanachek, Day 81 is the best GE pre-video podcast. See, now I got to go and check that one out to see what in the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quentin says, GE, I think all you need to know about Lua is that it indexes at 1. Oh, fuck, what? It indexes at 1? I get that probably nobody understands what I'm talking about, but in computer languages and programming, the normal fucking thing to do is to index at 0, like start all of your indexes at 0, like your arrays and everything like that. Indexing at 1 is like licking the paint off the wall and eating that for dinner.
That's like people who think the week starts on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. The week does not start on Monday. It's always Sunday.
You know, there was a poll on Twitter about that.
Yeah.
45% of people think that it starts on Monday. And that was more than the people that said Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. Gary White says, Godless Engineer, I just posted a comment to you earlier. Oh, like earlier in the stream? Like in the stream? Because I'm not going to be able to see it. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was something about his membership got messed up, but he said he has a small cross on his wrist and a butterfly on his back.
Oh, cool. A small cross on your wrist and a butterfly on your back. That's pretty cool. I love hearing about people's tattoos. It doesn't matter what they are. I'm sure people would think that I'm stupid for having Batman, tattooed on my shoulder.
Michelle said I might be in that 45%. I love you anyway, Michelle. I love you anyway.
Jane Pusecker, GE, look at the Kenneth Copeland review that person did. You can see demons in his eyes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. She sent me a video over Messenger.
Daniel M asked when we go back to work. I was trying to answer, but I messed up.
Oh, okay. Huh? Yeah. So Daniel M's asking, when do you go back to work? I'm actually currently teleworking because my shit is pretty much just development, and so I'm doing that. I develop software, and KC over there, all of her work can be done telework. So we're most of it. Most of her work's telework, so we can do telework. Dreadlin Worm says, I'm not saying Ray Comfort is obsessed with bananas, but his hands are designed to hold things of that shape. Cerny and GE still doing the training? No, actually, I got done with the A+ training and I took the test, but I've got a voucher now to where I can take the test online, but it's going to be like a proctored kind of thing, like, you had to do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like online proctored, and so I'm waiting until this next week to take it, and I'm doing some extra pre-test stuff in order to get ready for it, because I do not test well at all. And right now I'm kind of on the cusp of like passing, because like I can get just below an 80 or just above an 80. And so it's kind of like, it kind of depends. Like I don't have all of the fucking ports for every single program like memorized in my head, or every single protocol. Like I have a few that's like locked in there, but I don't remember them all. So I'm pretty fucked on a couple of areas, but I'm hoping that I don't necessarily have too many questions on those. So I don't know. Quentin, I really hope that was a real reaction to indexing at 1. That was like that was a real reaction. Like whoever, I don't know who designed it to index at 1, but that's a dumb fucking thing to do. It's just like licking the wall. What's your MBTI personality type? I don't know. Apparently sickening. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find that test or something like that. CompTIA, yes, CompTIA plus. I got to do the 1001 and 1002 tests. So I have to take 2 tests next week. So I'm gonna try to do those one day at a time. Hopefully, I can convince KC to go into a room or something.
I can do that.
You also posted a comment about 10 Commandments as well.
Oh, he asked what your favorite 10 Commandments movie is. His is Charlton Heston.
Oh, so the I actually haven't seen that one.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
The one.
I know.
We'll watch it.
Oh, will we?
Yeah.
We're gonna do that tonight after Far Cry.
Yeah. So I grew up watching that every single year.
Yeah.
Once a year. It was like an annual thing.
Okay.
It was my parents.
Which I want to ask you guys. I've been playing The Last of Us to try to get caught up for next month's release of Last of Us Part 2. Would anybody here be interested in me like doing a live stream on this channel, like playing The Last of Us, or is that just not something that anybody would really be interested in? Because like I've got to work on Monday's video tomorrow, but I can start working in the occasional game stream. I don't know if any of y'all would really be interested in the Jesus game. Which one? The
one that we played for creation for Redeem.
Yeah, the living or the U Testament. I'm gonna have to see if I can find that. The emo no life says yes, that they would enjoy that. So we got one yes for gaming.
Daniel M earlier, and I answered him. He asked how many days do you for your CGM, but I told him, but he was thinking maybe his wife should get one. Do you like yours?
Oh, I definitely like mine.
In case they didn't hear me.
Right. So Daniel M asked about the glucose monitor that I have. This one. This is the Libre. The free. What is it called?
It's
Freestyle Libre is what it is. So it's a 14-day monitor. So you get 2 weeks. And I mean, if she's a diabetic and you need to, monitor, she's got to take like her insulin every before she eats a meal and everything like that. Like definitely, it's just good to have it as a monitor in general. You do have to get it as a prescription from your doctor, so you'll need to talk. She'll need to talk to her doctor about it. But it's with insurance, it's really reasonable to get. Oh, I do love it. I love having it. There's, as long as you have the correct phone kind, you can get an app where you can use it, or you can use their own hardware. Let's see. Emo Life would like to see it. Jonathan says as long as there's car racing. Yeah, it's not car racing. Caden says Last of Us 2 is currently such a shit show and full of drama. Yeah, it kind of is, but I mean, when you think about the influences of The Last of Us, the leaks that got out make sense that they would go that direction. So I don't know if they do go that direction, but it's definitely, I think that it would turn out to be a really good game. Like that, I think the twists that are proposed to be in it are good twists to have. Sirnian says, I'm all right with that. I thought that was what your gaming channel was for. Yeah, I haven't really been playing on that one so much, but I didn't know if people would enjoy like me playing anything here. I used to do it on this channel.
Syrian said phone kind.
Phone kind. Well, it's not because it's not just Android. Like iOS has it, but with Android, you got to have the correct kind of phone. Like my Pixel 4, it doesn't have like it doesn't have the capability of using the Libre app, but my Pixel 2 it does. So I use Pixel 2 for that.
That was a picture from our wedding on your phone.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Shit. Hold on. Maybe you guys can see it. That's us on our wedding day. Yeah, we are. Daniel M says, so hi to David. Say hi to David one more time. It lit him up when he did. What's up, David? How you doing? Syrian, okay, Godless Hovend. Syrian liked to pick. All right. Anyways, I gotta go, guys. It was awesome hanging out with everybody. I hope that you guys have a lovely weekend. Join us on Monday when we're going to be going over capturing Christianity's response to moral subjectivism, where he doesn't actually argue against moral subjectivism. So tune in for that, and I guess we will see you heathens then. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, all that kind of good shit. I'm going to go and kill some cultists in Far Cry New Dawn. Well, they're not cultists. They're motorcycle gang people. It's Mad Max, basically. Anyways, we'll see you heathens later. Y'all have a nice night, nice weekend, everything like that. Bye, guys.